So far this season, the NBA has been heating up with some weak and controversial calls on the court. Players like Jokic and Giannis are getting tossed for seemingly no reason, like muttering to a ref or staring after a dunk. Remember Jokic's ejection against Chicago? Dude barely spoke a word. And Tim Hardaway Jr.'s tech for hanging on the rim after a dunk against the Lakers? Reggie Miller, the legend himself, called it the worst he's ever seen. These calls are making fans furious and discussing whether the refs are keeping things fair on the court. Is it all part of the game, or are we really seeing some questionable whistles? Well, a lot of people think these NBA refs are unfair. They blow on their whistle too much for little things. It gets players ejected out of the game, and the refs never have to explain themselves. It's like they're using the rules as a secret weapon to punish players they don't like. Yes, I'm talking about you, Scott Foster, you filthy son of a gun. Anyways, the league's commissioner, Adam Silver, says the refs do get in trouble, but they just don't tell us about it. But many players and fans don't believe it or think that's not enough. They want the refs to face real consequences when they mess up. Players always get fines and punishments for random BS, so why not do the same for these refs? There are concerns that remain over the NBA's refereeing, despite its efforts at reviewing and improvement. While the league employs several mechanisms, critics argue they're hiding in secrecy and fall short in legitimacy. One of their systems, the last 2-minute reports, examines all calls and non-calls in the final 2 minutes of closed games, which is within 5 points with 2 minutes left. This breakdown basically covers the right calls, wrong calls, and missed calls. The NBA claims referees nail about 96% of whistled calls and are about 87% accurate overall, including no calls. Additionally, the NBA boasts a high-tech replay center with 94 screens and 20 workstations. This hub aims to boost referee performance and speed up replay reviews. Look, the refs get a long, hard look after every game. Pause. 12 to 16 hours they spend going over replays, checking calls, seeing if they missed anything. They even put together training materials and send feedback to teams. But here's the thing, by the time they're done, the game's over. The calls that messed things up can't be taken back. The momentum's shifted, the damage is done. So, while their review process might be thorough, you gotta wonder, is it enough? Does it really change anything that makes this process better? The NBA's unsportsmanlike conduct rule is a messy one. It's supposed to keep things fair and classy, but figuring out what actually counts as unflattering can be a real head-scratcher. So, what's the verdict? Deception, disrespecting refs, and using bad language are all out. Take technical fouls, for example. You can get one for chirping at a ref, bumping into them, or even just looking kind of mad after a bad call. Problem is, those things can look different depending on who's blowing the whistle. And guess what? The players' reputations get mixed up in this mess too. If you're known for being a hothead, one stomp might get you ejected. But for someone who's usually cool, it might just be a frustrated burst of energy. Draymond Green might get flagged for a glare, while someone like Mike Conley might get away with a little more. Then there's flopping. You know, when players are pretending getting hit harder to earn a foul. The NBA knows it's bad, but figuring out if someone's acting or actually hurt is still confusing for them. Sometimes the replay helps, but even then, and it's all open to anyone's interpretation. The refs in the NBA blows and chokes on their whistle, and their calls can decide a game. But the power's all one-sided. Players and coaches gotta swallow their pride, even when they disagree. That pressure can build up, and it leads to tension and conflicts. The NBA gave the refs too much power, leading to questionable calls that can tip the scales. Remember ex-ref Tim Donaghy? He basically exposed the NBA in this damn interview.
And they would show us video of games previously of plays that fouls weren't called, of this guy holding him or defending him too strongly, and they wanted freedom of movement because they wanted higher scoring in these games. So
now the NBA says those last 2-minute reports are supposed to keep things square, but that whole process is kind of shady. And the pressure on players to keep it cool is intense. You bark back at a ref, then boom, technical foul. It's happening way too much, and it's creating a toxic environment where they gotta hold back on their competitive fire since these clowns wearing the stripes demand their respect. We all know the NBA is a fast-paced game now. So the referees have to make lightning-quick calls, and sometimes their decisions are unfair. But still we ask, is it just bad luck, or do things like personal bias and home team pressure play a role? However, Studies suggest refs might not be as objective as we'd like. When refs from different races call the game, players of the opposite race seem to get called for more fouls. It might be unconscious, but these tiny biases can add up. But hold on, because this is where this gets confusing. There are other articles that say this racial bias is gone, so the story's all black and white. But the question remains, are the refs influenced by other things? Well, the answer is yes. Ever notice how refs seem to whistle more when the home crowd roars? Turns out there's evidence to support that. Referees might favor the home team even subconsciously. And that's not all. Losing teams, both in regular season and playoffs, seem to get a bit more love from the whistle. Why? Well, some say it keeps the games close and exciting, which means more money for the league. The NBA's obsession with nitpicking is stealing the spotlight from the game itself. New rules and their itchy trigger finger for technicals are breaking the game's rhythm and putting the spotlight on the penalties and not the plays. Take flopping, for example. The league wants to stamp out those Oscar-worthy dives, so they slap players with technicals for anything that looks like exaggeration. But the line between a real foul and a bit of acting can be blurry, leading to arguments and stoppages that kill the flow. Technical fouls aren't just annoying, they can hurt a team's momentum. A cheap whistle can send an ongoing momentum the other way. Suddenly, the team that was dominating is scrambling, and the energy in the arena dies out. The rhythm, the flow, it just disappears. Players get frustrated, fans get bored, and the whole game feels like it's stuck in slow motion now. Isn't that the opposite of what we all came to see? Technical fouls and ejections have been flying thick and fast this season. So far, we've seen star players get tossed in an instant.
This will be a technical.
Oh, they threw Jokic out of the game.
And he'll go and take a shower with 15 points and 9 rebounds and 5 assists.
So Jason Tatum is done for the night.
Chris Paul had said something different than maybe he. Oh, he's going to get tossed. There it is. Scott Foster says goodbye.
Not happy at all. He just got tossed out of the game.
But Draymond Green, though, he's in a league of his own. 3 ejections already, and he is leading the pack. His on-court behavior? Let's just say he's been a menace. Maybe he misses Jordan Poole more than we realized. He lost his favorite human punching bag, so now he's taking it out on others. Regardless, the other stars getting tossed out doesn't deserve it, unlike Draymond's. This season, as of the time this video is being recorded, there have been 332 technical fouls handed out already in just 25 games. But here's where the issue actually is. There's already been 26 ejections on pace to surpass the 75 ejections from last season, and those are counting the playoff games. It seems like every night someone's getting tossed out this season. Memphis Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins was fined $25,000 for his public criticism of the officiating after his team's loss to the Utah Jazz. Jenkins expressed his frustration, saying this.
Sure, saddle up. One of the most poorly officiated games I've ever seen. Record it, I'm fine with it. Fucking atrocious. 29 free throws to 13, and I'm not that coach. You can go back in the history, I've done this one other time. Our team is competing their asses off. The interactions right now with the officials, complete disrespect. I know what's coming.
Denver Nuggets star Nikola Jokic also voiced his concerns about the inconsistency in officiating, saying,
I'm just happy that we didn't play in Serbia this game. It's going to be really fun to see how it will end up. So it was interesting, you know. It is what it is. Some guys can say whatever. I think sometimes what I said is not even a technical, so it is what it is.
There are a few ideas floating around the internet to fix the NBA's officiating problems. One popular suggestion is adding more refs to each game. This could help catch more mistakes and smooth out the flow of the action. Another option is adopting the FIBA rules on goaltending. Instead of tricky calls about mid-air deflections, once the ball touches the rim, it's free for all. This would cut down on those frustrating stoppages and player complaints. But at the end of the day, most fans would agree that the best solution is accountability. Players get fined for on-court antics. Why not hold the refs to the same standard? As fans, and we pay to watch the players, not the referees. But hey, what do you think is the best solution to fix officiating in today's NBA? Let me hear your opinions on the comments down below. I hope y'all enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next video. Also, Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you made it this far.